Welcome to Front Up. I'm Richard Miles, and today we have BobFroese2, fiction writer, novelist, with us. Robert has recently come out with his fourth novel, or fifth?
Good, I have to count. The fourth. Yeah, that was a couple years ago. Yeah.
The Origins of Misgiving.
Right.
And before that was Dark Music,
Yep.
and before that, The Forgotten Condition of Things and The Hour of Blue was the first one.
Right.
And when was that published?
The Hour of Blue came out in 1990, and it took me 10 years to write that, and so I'm a slow writer, obviously. And the second book, I think, is close to 10 years, and then 6 years later, A Dark Music, and then Origins of Misgiving, I think it took me only 3 years, so I guess I'm getting faster, at least.
After all those. You're originally from the Tri-City area in New York, the Albany area in New York? And
Well, actually, originally I'm from New Jersey, and I at some point left New Jersey and never looked back. I went to school at upstate New York in the Tri-City area.
And when did you come to Washington County?
I guess it was around 1985.
And you taught at the university?
Yeah.
And you and Leonora were married and built your house on Flat Bay.
Yeah.
And continue to be there, and will probably always be there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we have other places. We enjoy traveling and so on, but yeah, I like down East Maine a lot.
Yes. Yes, well, you had some years ago the marvelous idea of the Flat Bay Collective, which was a group of artists, of like-minded people whose work was generally inspired by the area, by Washington County. And could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, the idea, I guess, basically what we had was just a group of friends, and at some point we realized, well, you know, we're all making art, you know, we're all artists, and maybe we could in some way band together and support one another and promote one another's work and so on, and collaborate, and we have done that. We've got in Flat Bay Collective, which by the way is named Flat Bay Collective because several of us live right on Flat Bay, you across from me, and you and Susan, and we have 3 poets and a fiction writer and a book artist and a person who makes bowls out of wood and a musician and somebody else I'm forgetting. Oh, painter, Susan Hammond. And there have been collaborations. I mean, for example, on my latest novel, on the cover has this wonderful painting by Susan, and who also provided a painting for Leonora's chapbook and for your book and so on. And we read one another's work, you know, critically and so on. So yeah, it's a very loose organization. We meet irregularly, have good meals together, and talk about what we're doing. We also had one rather successful gig in Jonesport approximately a year ago, I think, and it was quite well received. Yep.
Yes, it was. It was, and there's a chance of having another one sometime this year, I think.
Yeah.
somewhere. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean,
is it
various
Eastport,
places.
maybe?
Eastport was a possibility.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And you have an orchard. Some wonderful apples and peaches.
Peaches.
We don't really associate peaches with Washington County.
Well, our peach trees.
Did they volunteer? Or?
Yeah. Our peach trees have a usual lifespan of about 3 or 4 years, and then they get that thing that peach trees get around here. It's a kind of virus, so I've had a succession of peach and nectarine, but mostly we grow apples, which do quite well here.
There's some heirloom
Yeah.
apple trees
Yeah.
that were all native at one time to this area, or
A lot of them were. No, I wouldn't say all of them.
I see you have 2 of your novels. Could you read to us from?
Sure. I have a passage in mind from, this again is my latest novel, The Origins of Misgiving. It's a story of a guy whose life has become a catastrophe. And one of the thematic elements that is plaguing him in this story happens to be the sort of an onslaught of snakes. His life has become overrun with snakes, as improbable as that might seem. And
could it have something to do with his mind?
No,
Could they be figurative?
These are real snakes. These are real.
No, I realize that.
Flesh and blood snakes. But so anyway, this is the moment at which the the first snake appears. At the edge of the meadow, we see the snake. It is moving the way a snake does, choosing its path slowly, insinuating itself among stalks of timothy, plantain, fireweed, goldenrod, harebell, woolgrass, perfectly ordinary weeds. The air is still. With the snakes passing, the flowering tops and boles of the weeds quiver. What is it about a snake that so inspires human ambivalence? We admire its disinterest and its silent grace. At the same time, we are nagged by suspicions of guile and stealth. There is all that lore to worry about: instantaneous death by venom, slow death by strangulation, the vulnerability of orifices. In the case of this particular animal, such fears might easily be magnified by the fact of its length, well over 6 feet. The presence of such an unlikely reptile in this largely suburban zone at the edge of forest inevitably raises questions, but they are not what interests us at the moment. We are watching the snake as it threads its way along the edge of the meadow, sloughing off speculation like old skin. It may be a matter of minutes, or longer still. What is time to a snake? This one is obviously not in a hurry, and neither are we. The snake appears to move deliberately. It wends this way and that way among the weeds, and then pauses, wends, and then pauses again. The effect is mesmerizing. Advancing somehow in its own track, the snake seems actually to be motion rather than in motion. The reptile's scales are keeled, its skin colored according to a lopsided geometry. On a green background, darker lozenges repeat along its length. A bright stripe marks the spine. The snake, observed as it passes, is continually the same and continually different, recurring and flowing like a runnel of paint. We imagine that we hear it, but we don't. Now, without warning, the snake spills forward. Now, without warning, it pauses. Its head turns, homing in our direction. Its tongue flicks out, testing.
Vamos. I think that's the best snake passage I've ever.
I haven't read many snake passages.
There's a J.H. Lawrence has that wonderful poem, Snake, and
he'd be one to write about snakes.
Yes, yeah. The vulnerability of orifices.
Yeah.
And what are you working on now, or presently?
I've turned to writing short stories, and I've completed 3, and have sent out 1. I'll be sending out the other 2 fairly soon. So yeah, I sort of enjoy the change.
Yeah.
Usually it's, it's good and also difficult being a novelist, because you wind up, once you have an idea and you're working on it, once you have a project, you don't have to worry about what am I going to do next.
Certain stability.
Yeah, but in between, when you have finished one project and are searching for another one, it's
yes,
sort of nerve-wracking. But this way, with the short stories, I've been trying to come up with ideas in advance. So the one that I'm now working on, I've done 3, and this is the one I'm working on now, and then I still have an idea for another one before then things get a bit sketchy.
Well, there's enough time for
Yeah.
to conceive of others. I look forward to that. Thank you, Robert, for joining us today, and can't wait to see your book of stories when it comes.
Thank you for having me here.